Good evening. Hi, I'm Denise Heberlein, and I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I hope that you had a good day with your family and friends and enjoyed some just downtime with them. The first thing that I noticed when I went to the Illinois State Board for Disciplinary Actions, I had the months that Illinois had the months of January 2019 all the way through August 2019. There were five counselors who did not during that time frame. There were five counselors who did not either file or they did not pay their Illinois taxes. And, like my first thought was, okay, really, you couldn't file and you couldn't pay Illinois state taxes. That's such a minimal thing to be able to take care of. And then are disciplined over that simple thing. There were a couple of other disciplinary actions that I found. One, that a counselor failed to keep up to date with all the regulations that needed for him or her to be able to keep their license for the different states that they had. And so their Illinois license was suspended for 6 months. There was another counselor who had their license suspended for 4 years because they were convicted of a felony. Another counselor, and they had their license suspended for 12 months because they failed to follow the terms of their probationary period. And this one was a doozy, and it really goes into impairment. Was that a counselor had their license suspended for 12 months because they did not get a required drug test. They did not obtain the services of addictionists, and they had a failure to participate in the Illinois Professional Health Program. And so that one was a huge one and goes, I believe, along with impairment. Of course, my personal reaction to some of these were that they were very simplistic and could have been easily taken care of if they would have just been paying attention. The other my other rational thought kicked in, was that I'm not in their shoes. I do not know what was going on with them at the time. There could have been very extenuating circumstances why they didn't fulfill some of the requirements that they needed to fulfill to keep their license up to date. Was a little curious about the one that had the apparent use of drugs, and if there was another counselor or colleague that helped to have a hand in making this counselor take the appropriate steps or not appropriate steps, and or if the counselor who had their license suspended, if they just ignored that other colleague. So I was kind of curious about that, and I thought that was very interesting. The other thing that you talk about is counselor impairment and being self-aware. And as a counselor, you should be self-aware of yourself, because you don't want to cause undue harm to your clients. I know for myself, when I have had issues or situations that were beyond my control, my mind becomes so focused in on that issue or situation that I'm not aware of people around me. Sometimes I'm not aware of what they're telling me. And as a counselor, I need to be very aware and very focused on the client when they come in. I need to be able to listen, be able to hear what they're saying to me or not saying to me. I need to be able to read their body language, the cues, their verbal cues or nonverbal cues, to be able to help them down the path to mental health, health and wellness. And so if my mind is impaired, then I'm focused in on myself rather than outward. And so it's very important for me to have someone to come alongside of me and help me be able to point out the fact that I need to maybe step away for a while so that I can take care of myself first. And if I'm not healthy, what am I teaching my clients in the fact that if I can't take care of myself, then they won't be able to be healthy, or how can I teach them to be healthy if I'm not able to keep myself healthy? The code of ethics was quite clear about the impairment for counselors. I noticed that the state The code C2A states that a counselor is aware of themselves personally, and then the code C2D states that a counselor will take steps to make sure they are effective and improve at their work. C2G states that a counselor will work at monitoring themselves for impairment, whether that is physical, emotional, or mental problems. They will refrain from counseling while they are impaired, and they will seek professional help and not return to counseling until they are back to a healthy lifestyle. And they want to make sure that they have healthy interactions with their clients and keeping their clients safe, because that's the number one goal. Our objective is to keep our clients safe. With that same code, a colleague may assist other colleagues with recognizing their own professional impairment, and they need to provide consultation assistance as needed, and they may intervene as appropriate and as soon as they witness impairment. And their first priority is to keep their clients safe. And another code was D1H. It states that negative conditions may warrant that other counselors report the conditions to the appropriate people to ensure the safety and well-being of their clients. Then last, my question that I have is, how do you keep straight all the conferences and state regulations? Like, as a teacher, I had binders, and I would put those in those binders, and then I would have those. And then, of course, my two teams that I had when I was a teacher, we were able to monitor and help each other along with these new state regulations that came along, and if we were following them or not. Also, I guess, where do you find time in the middle of your day to stay abreast, or your month to stay abreast of all these new practices or information that comes along? I guess another question that I have is, what if you're in a business and you are the only counselor in that business? How do you make sure that you stay healthy for your clients? Who do you have to make sure you will not become impaired as a counselor? And what does this look like? How do you go about finding someone to keep you accountable with regards to your own mental, emotional, and physical well-being? So that is the information that I have on the counselor competency and wellness. Thank you. Have a good evening.